Okay.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. This is the Telltale Podcast, and I have isopropanol on here to talk to me. How's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
I am pretty good. Now, we haven't actually spoken on here before, right?
No, this is the first time.
So tell me, what religion were you originally? You still religious?
No, much like you, I used to be a Jehovah's Witnesses, but I left fairly recently.
Really? How long ago?
Like 1, 2 months at best.
All right, that's good.
And it
So,
wasn't like,
go ahead.
mm,
What was
and
that?
it wasn't like even a choice really. I got pushed by the elders because one of them was stalking me on Facebook.
That happened. So, what happened with it exactly? What went down?
Right, I'm gonna try to shorten this story a bit. So basically, I had removed every JW that I could find from my Facebook list of friends so that I could feel a little more open to post my actual opinion because I had stopped believing like 2 months prior to the elders calling me in room B of the Kingdom Hall. So I removed every JW from my Facebook. I shared a video in which Neil deGrasse Tyson criticized the idea of the Christian God. And also, the elder took screen caps of comment sections where he used what we would call bad language, like swear words and everything.
Sure.
And then basically, that's how I got flamed in front of my parents at like 10 p.m. in the night. So I got really scared because my father was super angry. He took my laptop. He took the modem out of the office, and I got so scared, so desperate that the like 2, 3 a.m. of the next day, I ran to my friend's place because he knew about the situation. I told him about it once I got home. I texted him through Facebook, and he was like, "Dude, run." And I was desperate, so I ran. I called an Uber and I went to his place. I stayed out of my house for 3 days.
That is
Yeah,
insane. So, how old were you when all this was happening? How long ago was it? You said 2 months ago, right?
yeah, something like that.
So, how old are you now?
I am 17, just as I was then.
Okay, so basically you took an Uber to a friend's house, you said, right?
Yes, I did.
And this was like
It
a
was
friend
like,
from school?
yeah, because I had made the quote unquote mistake of getting close to a few people on school. Now, those people have helped me when I left, which was like the best thing I ever did.
Definitely. I had the exact same experience. I had a friend from school. I'm sure everybody here knows this story, but I had a friend from school and I lived with her for like 3 weeks and stuff, and it was really difficult. So, have you spoken to your family since, or?
I have. I still live with my parents. They still talk to me beside everything, but it's a really uncomfortable situation because every now and then when I go on the street for to like play Ingress, which is one of those augmented reality games where you have to walk around, sometimes I stumble upon a very large group of Jehovah's Witnesses from my former congregation just preaching, and then I pass by them and it's like super uncomfortable. It's like I start trembling and everything.
Sure, I completely understand the feeling. I went to the Kingdom Hall not too long ago. It's probably actually a year ago or something. I don't remember why I went. I think it was because my mom came to town to see my daughter, and she wanted to take my daughter to the Kingdom Hall. And I said, "You can't take her there unless I'm going to go too." And, I was like, it's been years since I went to the Kingdom Hall. I may as well. Why not? So I ended up going in, and sure enough, of course, they all shunned me. None of them looked at me. There were like one or two people, like real older people, who came up and talked to me and were like trying to see if I was coming back and all this stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not coming back. It was incredibly awkward, but my heart was pounding the whole time. It's just like after all these years, just this whole environment was just so strange to walk back into. So I completely understand what you mean when you say your heart was pounding out of your chest like that.
Yeah, and it caught me by surprise because I was one of the plazas here in town, just getting items for the game, hacking portals, as we say. And then I was going back home because the plaza was right next to my place, or rather my parents' place.
Mm.
And then I was like, no, no, I'm just gonna walk back home and everything's gonna be fine. But then they were preaching right on my avenue, and then it got uncomfortable. And yeah, I talked to the rest of my family, which fortunately for me isn't Jehovah's Witness,
The rest
including
of
my
them aren't, you
brother.
say?
No, it's just my parents.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah, so they helped me a lot. My friend Renata, which basically I she's been accompanying the whole situation. She's been a real emotional support for me. It's been really turbulent,
I
and I'm
imagine.
leaving.
Yeah.
And not to mention that I'm leaving in 2 months. So yeah, it's talking about this makes me a little jittery.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Did you say you're leaving in a couple of months?
I am either to a friend's place or to my cousin's place in a city that's about 30 kilometers away.
Okay, interesting. Well, so I mean, I assume they're not Jehovah's Witness. You're probably just getting completely out of the lifestyle at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm an atheist. So
Very
yeah,
good. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad you made it on here to talk to me. That makes me pretty happy.
yeah. I'm honored to be able to like put this out to more people because it's a really mentally challenging situation. You
Yeah.
you understand it. You understand it. You have to go through this.
Yeah, I do, but my audience may not because a lot of them weren't Jehovah's Witness, of course. So I am always doing my best to communicate what it's like, you know?
Yeah, and the support I had here was limited because I tried contacting Sparlock Signal, but I didn't really get a response. But the people at the XJW Reddit received me very dearly. Uh, all my friends, when I told them I didn't really believe or anything, everyone in my friend circle is just really open-minded. So everyone is just like, "Oh, okay," but they really, really supported me. It's been a wonderful time with them rather than my parents.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that, man. And like I said, I'm glad you're on the outside, and I appreciate you coming on here and talking to me.
Yeah, it's a great honor, really.
Thanks. All right, we'll talk to you again.
All right.
Yeah, that's a real shame when that kind of thing happens. Like people, I've talked about it on my channel plenty of times. All of these stories from ex Jehovah's Witnesses, especially the story I just told on my channel. That seems like a unique situation, but really it is not. It's horrifyingly common, and I just feel like I need to give more exposure to it. In fact, I'm thinking I may make like something of a segment on my channel. I don't know, where I tell people's stories. I don't know. Seems like kind of a cool little idea, like I did on
Tennis
this one.
project.
Hmm.
Telltale tells stories.
Yes.
Telltale tell tales.
Yeah. Telltale tells tales. That's the name. That's the name of it. Oh my god, that is awesome. Okay, who was next on the list, by the way? I don't see him on here. Do you think you can unmute him?
They are down the bottom. If they're still here. Yeah, I don't know how to say their name. I
Oh,
believe
okay.
their name was Dragon Eyes before.
Hey,
Defect Comrade. Hello.
Defect Comrade. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so how's it going? We haven't talked on the podcast before, right?
We have not.
So, what religion were you originally? You still religious?
I am still religious, but my spiritual journey has varied quite a lot. When I was a kid, all the way up until I was about like 17, I was basically like agnostic, and I just didn't really even think about it whatsoever.
Right.
And then I got into this really weird situation where someone had like manipulated me into being a Christian. That was about 2 years. But after that, I went to a Unitarian church with one of my friends, and we started talking to some of the pagans there. And the way that they talked with me and the way that they synergized science and their spirituality, it it really clicked with me. I felt like I was home there because I've always been very I've always needed science in my life. I've always loved it. I've taken things apart and put them back together ever
Sure.
since I can remember. So, um, and we just have this synergizing of spirituality, which I feel that I am a spiritual creature. Um, so it's a synergy of the way that we can describe the world and the way that we feel about the world.
Okay, that's really interesting. So tell me this, then: would you consider yourself? It sounds to me like you don't really consider yourself any specific denomination or religion. Is that fair to say, or?
Somewhat. I take a lot of Norse and Celtic influence in my practices,
Okay, so it's like
especially in some
pagan,
of
right?
the rituals that I do.
I
Yes.
see. Okay.
I do like energy work, which is like under the witch umbrella,
Mm.
and I'm just learning about that right now. So,
Very
um,
fascinating. So tell me, like, I guess you do spells and things like that, right?
yes.
Very interesting. Tell me about like some of the spells you've done.
Well, some of the ones that I've done mainly have to do with energy within the body or um, elemental things like water and earth, or basically the forms of matter,
Right.
if you want to think about it. And it's just really fun. And it's basically an exercise of the physical world.
Right.
Um, like, for instance, you can do a hunting ritual, and even back way long ago, it's still been done in a relatively similar matter, where you basically practice what you're going to do, and then that preps you for the hunt. So, rituals are like your way of getting to know your environment so that your mind will be sharper when you're actually in the situation where you need to call upon the information.
Okay, so it's not like in that case, is it fair to say that it's not like it's you're using magic to accomplish some goal? It's just getting you familiar with your environment in preparation for something. Is that
Well, a lot of rituals do require some amount of energy manipulation. For
okay?
instance, like a human can generate a very small magnetic field, for example.
Okay.
Like that's actually been like under a microscope before, per
Okay.
se. Um, so there is some amount of like energy manipulation, and that's basically what magic is. It's the flow of energy in your body and directly around you.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. Let's say that hypothetically, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say hypothetically there weren't any studies proving that people could manipulate energy fields and things like that. Would that change your mind about it?
Um, Maybe to some degree, but I don't think I would abandon it completely because it does serve a practical purpose of balancing within yourself, even if you're not um, directly affecting like something like 3 centimeters away from you. But
Okay.
it's still a practice in balancing.
Okay, so it's a practice in balancing, so it serves some kind of a useful purpose for us. Well, let's say that. So you're saying that if we proved that magic wasn't real, and if we could just prove that it doesn't have an effect on the real world, you would still accept that it was real because it offers some benefit in your life. Is that fair
Well,
to
not
say?
necessarily that it's real, just that it has a purpose.
Do you want to
Like
elaborate on that a
it
little?
has a reason behind it. So it's more like comfort for your neurons, I suppose.
Okay. So it's a comforting, useful thing, whether it's real or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like it's justifiable for a Muslim to believe or accept what they believe or accept as a comfort, even though they may know that it's not real, or even though it may not be real at all?
Only if they're not hurting anyone. I mean, if
Okay.
they're like lying to people and trying to deceive them, then, there would be an issue, but
Sure.
no.
Sure. Interesting. Okay, that's really interesting. Well, I'm glad I got to talk to you about that. I may get you on here again to
Yeah.
talk to me about it one of these days. That's pretty cool. But anyway, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I've talked to a few pagans before. In fact, Nora, a lot of you guys on the Discord know Nora, and she's pretty cool. Good friend of mine. I don't actually see her in the list. I haven't seen her in a little while, but she believes in the Egyptian gods, I think. She practices spells and things like that. And I think it's all pretty interesting. I don't really buy it, of course, personally, but it's still interesting either way. So the next person on the list was Maddie. Are you there, Maddie? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Maddie? Yay, nay? No?
Oh, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We haven't talked on the podcast, have we? I don't remember.
No, we haven't.
Okay, I didn't think so. You have drawn some artwork for me, haven't you?
Yep.
Let me see if I can pull that artwork up. So while I'm doing that, tell me, are you religious now? Have you been religious, or what religion were you?
I have been religious, but I'm more of a deist now.
Okay.
I'm more questioning still, but I'm leaning toward deism.
Okay, so what brings you to... so what religion were you originally? Was it like a Christian denomination, or...
Just Christian, just general Christianity.
Okay. So what brought you to the conclusion that there wasn't a God interfering with people's lives on a daily basis?
Just like what's going on around the world, like all the terrible things. I'm just like, so I don't think anyone would really be interfering. It just doesn't seem like anybody would be interfering with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's that whole argument. What was it? It's impotent versus evil, where they say there are people dying in Africa right now. They're dying of food, and how many prayers are being said by them, right? So either God can't do anything to help them, or he won't. So either he doesn't have the power to, impotent, or he's evil because he won't. Is that what kind of dragged you to the position that you're at now, you think?
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, I hear you. So what do you think it would take to drag you a little bit further to complete non-belief about deity or anything? Is there anything that could drag you to that point, you think?
If more scientific evidence popped up that actually disproved God completely, then maybe I'd probably start leaning away. But
Sure. Interesting.
yeah.
With my position regarding that, I don't actively believe in a God. I don't know. It's possible that God does exist. I happen to know that the Christian God, as described by Jehovah's Witnesses or Methodists or Baptists or whoever else, doesn't exist. There are just too many contradictions, too many problems in the whole thing. It's just not possible for him to exist in the way they describe.
Yeah.
But I won't deny that it's completely possible that a deistic God exists. I have no problem accepting that possibility. But I haven't seen any evidence that a deistic God has pushed anything to exist. I don't see any evidence that he's kicked things into existence or anything. So I'm kind of defaulting to disbelief. But you're saying that you're kind of tentatively accepting that he does exist for the moment.
Yeah, but I'm also accepting all like science that comes out too.
Okay.
I accept a lot of science.
Good. I mean, that's good because a lot of people don't, as I'm sure you know. And that's one of my
Yeah.
main issues with it in general, you know. And FYI, here, let me see. Here is the drawing that you did for me. If you, I think there's like a 30-second delay on the live stream or something, but you
Oh.
can see the drawing anyways. I just put it up on my screen, so it's pretty good. I like it. It's
Thank you.
yeah, my daughter Alpha Force Zero requested some fan art, and she said she wants to be a wolf. So here's her as a wolf. She loves it. She's a really big fan of it, so I appreciate that, and she does too.
Thank you.
So anyway, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Do you have any kind of like crazy stories or anything like that from being Christian, or were things fairly tame for you when you were growing up?
Well, my family right now is still Christian, but we're very tame. They're very tame Christians. They don't like go insane or anything like that.
Not
They
extremists.
accept a lot of yeah. They accept a lot of science, things like that.
Good, good. That's good to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't accept like evolution or the Big Bang or any of that stuff. So,
It gets kind of aggravating.
yeah, yep. So, anyway, that's interesting. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me.
You too.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Let's see. The next person I was going to speak with was Penguins Are Whack. Let's see. Penguins Are Whack. Peas. The peas. There they are. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. It's going on.
So, what religion were you originally? Are you still religious, or?
No, I was just like a mainstream Christian, regular Christian, nothing weird.
Nothing like super extremist or anything, I guess.
No, nothing like Mormons or whatever,
That's good. So, like, your parents didn't, like, jam it down your throat or anything, then, I guess.
No, they're really tame about it. It was more, like, the only reason I'm involved in religion is because I go to a Catholic school, and that was only because it's, like, the closest school to my area, so it was easier to get there.
Right, okay. So, do you still consider yourself to be religious, or have you kind of backed away from the whole thing?
No. Like, I believed it for a couple years, but with time, I matured, and I kind of started to see the loopholes in it.
Very cool. So, what drew you to, like, I don't know, I guess you could consider me part of the atheist community on YouTube, right? What drew you to that community on YouTube?
Well, actually, there was another friend of mine at school who kind of, like, pushed me over to think about these things. And then through that, he told me about you, and then I just, yeah.
Awesome.
So,
all right, that's
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and he's on this Discord.
Oh,
right
is
now.
he really? What's his username?
Turnip.
Oh, really? Turnip. Okay. Wait, is it like Russian Turnip? Is that who it is?
Mhm.
Oh, cool. I've seen him around. It is a he, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I'm assuming his gender. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's pretty awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here. That's pretty great.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of like crazy stories or anything about like your school, Catholic school, or anything like that?
Nothing crazy. It's just that they kind of bring everything back to some kind of god, and
Sure.
like if in like for example in science class, whenever my teacher talks about evolution, he always brings it back to some god and how he had to have started it because like how could something this crazy come into existence?
Sure.
And he always just crams that down our throats, and it's kind of annoying.
That kind of
But other
sucks.
than that,
Yeah.
they're kind of chill about it though. Like they mainly teach like math and whatever. Religion isn't really a hot topic in our school, which is kind of good, I guess.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, you know what? If they want to believe that God kicked it all into motion, that's fine with me, as long as they accept that evolution is a fact. That it's the kind of thing we can see in the lab. But anyways, yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that it's not terribly oppressive or terribly freaking crazy like some of them are. So
Yeah, it's really good.
anyway, well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me.
Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Okay, there was, let's see. Wait a second. Next person I'm looking for was in the ends. And there they are. Nashi the Destroyer was next. Hey, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
How's it going?
I'm alright.
You're a little bit quiet. I think I can amplify it a little bit. If you can turn your mic up just a hair, it would be appreciated.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we haven't talked on here, right?
No.
What religion were you originally? Are you still religious, or?
I used to be Methodist.
Methodist, okay. And you're not Methodist anymore. I guess you're atheist, or?
Yeah.
Good. So, like, what was the process of coming out? Like, did your parents shove it down your throat, or was it pretty tame, or?
Early on, my parents weren't really religious, but whenever I would go out to my grandma's house on the weekends sometimes, she would make me and my sister go with her. And, of course, we would never really like it.
Right.
Then eventually, after my mom stopped drinking a lot, and she started going to a counselor, and she kind of pushed her to start going to church more. And, of course, that was forced onto me.
Right. Interesting. So you're saying that your grandmother was the one that kind of pushed it onto you, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. So how long have you been on the outside?
I'd say 3 or 4 years, I'd say.
Awesome. I'm glad you're on the outside. Do you have any kind of like crazy stories about it or anything? Like how did it go? What was it like?
Well, like the first year I was there, it was all right, I guess. But when the church got a new priest, it started getting really weird because he was a bit not as tame as most would be. So basically, if you liked sci-fi stuff, which I'm really into, you were pretty much on his crap list immediately.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so basically most of the stuff I'm into, he automatically hated.
That's so crazy because, in fact, Ahab is my brother, and he's actually in the voice chat. But from what I understand, he got some flack for enjoying Star Wars and or Star Trek at one point. They said it was like taboo. You shouldn't be doing it. If you ever want to be a ministerial servant, then you shouldn't. It's crazy, man.
Yep, same boat here. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. Not so much Star Trek, but and as well anime. And that they may immediately alienate you for that. So in the youth group I was being forced to go, I was, of course, treated differently. I wouldn't get the same privileges, but... So that's why I kind of left in 8th grade.
That is a shame. At least you were able to leave. Like, at least you found your way out, because that really sucks, man. That's just oppressive. There's no reason behind that. They just...
I dealt with going when my parents forced me to.
Yeah.
I just... Like, when they would stand up sing songs, I would just do it just to deal with it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm not really forced to go, since that church is kind of dying out, not many people, at least in my age group, are going.
Right.
So.
Well, something that I wanted to talk to you about, something I have a problem with you about, is the fact that you don't like Star Trek. That is an issue for me.
It's not that I don't like it, but I've just never really decided to sit down and watch it.
Sure. The problem...
I have a friend who is more of a Trekkie. So, like, he's shown me 1 or 2 of the movies.
Right.
And they're all right, I guess, but...
Yeah, I wasn't I wasn't really a big fan of the movies as much. I don't know what it is about them, just not really my cup of tea. But I was a big fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation, although it's really dated now, because that was going on between, like, 1989 and 95 or something like that. And I really liked Star Trek Voyager. That was really good, but that was less dated, but still dated. It was from, like, 2000. And then...
Yeah, all I know is that my friend says that Star Trek Discovery is kind of garbage.
Yes, I've heard that. I have not watched it.
He hates it.
That's a shame to me, you know? I mean, it's such a good story. It's such a good world that they have. It's like, I love Star Wars too, just like you. And it has such a fascinating world built around it with the Sith and the lightsabers and the whole 9 yards. But sometimes they just take that world and they shit on it. Like with The Phantom Menace, it was awful, you know?
I didn't really mind the prequels that much.
Really? That's interesting to me.
Mainly because that's what I grew up with. My favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith.
That was a good movie. I have to give you that. It was a good movie. I mean, I don't mind the prequels either, mostly. In fact, I think number 1 sucked. Number 2 was okay but forgettable, and number 3 was outright good. That's how I feel. I feel like number 3 was straight up good. But and then number 7, so number 7 and Rogue One. I saw Rogue One. It wasn't the same. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me, you know?
It felt like more of a Vietnam movie to me.
Yeah.
Just Star Wars nostalgia shoved all over it.
Yeah, it was different than the rest. And so I was so disappointed with episode 1 and Rogue One that I didn't even watch 7. I want to, I just haven't yet. I understand it was really, really good, but
The
anyway.
Last Jedi made me like the episode 7 a lot less.
Really? Because it was that much better?
No, I hated The Last Jedi so much that it made me dislike 7. So they're pretty much both at the bottom now.
That happens, right? That's a shame, man.
Yep.
No, anyway.
I don't plan on seeing Solo either because I have a bad feeling about it.
Oh, yeah, is that the new one, Solo? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It comes out this Friday.
Is Harrison Ford going to be in that? Do we know?
Nope. He won't. He helped with the actor get a grasp of being Han, but I don't think he's gonna be that good. I just wish that they reinstated Han's original story.
Yeah. From what I understand, Harrison Ford wanted. God, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though somebody spoiled it for me. Harrison Ford wanted Episode 7 to play out the way it did because he didn't really want. He wanted to be done with it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
That's kind of the reason why Han was in Carbonite at the end of Episode 5, is because they didn't know if he was coming back.
Really?
Yep.
I've heard that he hated that character like since day one.
He never liked being Han.
That's so crazy, man. Anyway.
I mean, I like Harrison Ford, but
yeah,
it just happens.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I got like Battlefront 2 to play to actually experience it.
Right. I'm not a gamer, but I understand that's pretty good. I've heard it's a really good game.
The original one from 2005 is nostalgic, but the battles don't seem like Star Wars. Like, because of limitations from back in 2005, that's expected.
Like graphics limitations and stuff?
Yes, and power of the consoles, but today you can have so much on screen at one time.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. It was a really interesting conversation, but other people are probably getting miffed that I'm not talking about religion. So I'm going to move on, okay?
All right, that's fine.
All right, I'll talk to you again. Who was next?
Shall we have some questions?
Sure.
first?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. What would Telltale suggest as a method of Kingdom Hall crashing or alternative, and whether you approve it or disapprove as long as it's legal?
Okay. Yeah, good question. I don't think we should be Kingdom Hall crashing at all. We are on here talking, or at least I am, on here on YouTube talking about how the society views me as mentally diseased, as a deranged lunatic who needs mental help. And they view me like that because people are out there like solidifying that view by Kingdom Hall crashing. I respect the people who do it. I respect their right to do it, and I respect why they're doing it. But I will never do it, and I will never endorse it because I think that it just solidifies the view that we're crazy. So it does more harm than good in my eyes.
Okie dokie. And what is your opinion on Saudi Arabian religious policies?
Religious policies. When you say that, I assume what you mean is Saudi Arabian political policies based on religious ideology.
Probably.
And my opinion is it's poisonous and harmful to society and needs to be undone as quickly as possible. When you have them throwing gay people off roofs and things, oppressing women, keeping them under a veil their entire lives, not letting them go out in public without a male, it's like the extreme version of Jehovah's Witnesses, where Jehovah's, like, so a female has to wear a head covering in Jehovah's Witnesses to pray for a family. If there's a baptized male in the family, even if he's 9, you have to wear a head covering. And it's really similar in Saudi Arabia and in other Middle Eastern countries, predominantly Muslim countries, where the women have to wear a veil or wear just a full freaking burqa, cover themselves up, and only go out with males. That's just messed up. I would love to live to see the day when that is undone. So that's my opinion on it.
Alrighty, do you have any plans to visit any humanist/atheist events?
Yes, as many as I can get to, honestly. I love that stuff. Like, Faithless Forum was awesome. It was an event that was basically grassroots, self-funded kind of thing. I put money into it, and Genetically Modified Skeptic put a lot of money into it. Everybody put money into it to make this happen. We didn't get outside funding. We couldn't pay speaker fees or any of that stuff. But it was so worth it in the end. We had 1/6 the attendance of the atheist convention that happened like a month before, where Hugh Laurie House showed up to that one. We had 1/6 the attendance. So I'm really happy with that. But yeah, if there are any like atheist events that you guys know about, then hit me up and let me know, because I am looking to go to some of those. Pretty cool.
Alrighty. Okay. What do you hope for the future of Alpha Force Zero? They want to know your parenting type, because their cousin is having kids and they'll be watching them all day.
I feel like my main goal with Alpha Force Zero is to... It goes issue to issue. It's really hard to just kind of lay something down like that, but here are some big things that I dealt with that I would like to make sure she doesn't have to deal with. I feel like spanking a kid actually does more harm than good. I feel like there are better ways to get your point across. I feel like sometimes spanking may be necessary, maybe. But in general, I'd like to find other ways to do it, like timeouts, things like that. Of course, she's a little bit past that age at this point, but I would like to... I feel like I need to encourage education. That's another thing I didn't have that I wanted to give her. I want to make sure she understands the value of education, how important it is to go to college, to get good grades, to get a degree, to get a good job. Because Jehovah's Witnesses' ideal is just to be a window cleaner. And that was what was encouraged in me. So my ultimate goal with her is to send her to Harvard, as I mentioned in my most recent video. So anyway.
Okie dokie. Is there any advice for a depressed trans kid in a transphobic SDA family who can't leave?
That's a really hard situation. And I guess my first question would be, do they know? Does your family know? If they do know, my best advice would be to, you know what, either way, my best advice is to find a community of people who are like you and who understand what it's like, and try to build those relationships up. Because it's really hard being in a family or being around people who don't respect you or who you are, don't respect the struggle that you have to go through at all, and treat you like garbage. It's really hard to deal with. So I would say either way, find a community of people who respect you for who you are. So yeah, that would be my best advice.
Alrighty. And then someone else said, if you're okay talking about it, what are your thoughts on gun control? And how do you feel about people just praying after every shooting that happens?
I don't touch on political topics because it alienates my subscribers, but sometimes I'll talk about it. So in this case, I will. I respect conservatives a great deal. In fact, I have a gun nut for a brother, or something of a gun nut. He'd probably protest that claim. I guess he's not a gun nut, but he does love guns. I don't. I think that the fewer guns that there are, the fewer deaths there will be. And I want to move to a country where I don't have to hear about a school shooting every other day. I don't want my daughter to be the next school shooting victim. I don't want to have to worry about getting that phone call anymore. So that's my main issue. And as far as prayers go, these people who are sending thoughts and prayers to families have actual real power. Like these congressmen, they can actually do something. Like they can pass laws to protect people. Instead, they're sending something 100% worthless. Thoughts and prayers. I don't want any thoughts and prayers. I want action. So that's how I feel about it.
Okay, and then last question for now is, what if Alpha Force Zero doesn't want to go to college? What if she wants to do something else with her life?
She will not want to do something else with her life. I've made that pretty clear to her. Since she got into school, since she was in preschool at like 4 years old or so, I think, I've been counting down how many years of college she has. 12 years, right, of just regular 1 through 12, and then kindergarten, that's 13 years. Then preschool, of course, that's 14 years. And then 8 years of college. So that's 14 plus 8. So 22 years of schooling that she's got to get through. And, yeah, and she's in 3rd grade now. She's about to go into 4th. So she has like 17 years to go. I've been telling her that since she entered school. I told her she could live with me as long as she wanted and as long as she was going to school. Of course, I'd never kick her out anyways, but don't tell her that. She is going to college. I am willing to pay whatever it costs, do whatever it takes to get her into college. So that's the last one, right?
Hold on, I just had another one, which is, do you feel that the parent has any right to determine whether the child is religious or not? Or do you feel that the decision is the child's alone?
It's the child's decision alone in most cases. If it's an extremist situation, I would do whatever it takes to protect my kid from an extremist ideology, period. Now, if Alpha Force Zero wants to be, say, Methodist or something, fine. Do it. That's fine with me. I don't care. If she wants to be, any moderate, calm denomination, whatever, she's going to know how I feel about it. She's going to understand why I feel that way. But I'm not going to try to stop her. If she tries to become Jehovah's Witness or Mormon or some other extremist branch, I will do whatever it takes to keep her out of that. I will not have her become an extremist. So, yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay. I can ask you some more at the end.
Okay, that works.
Good to talk to.
Okay, yeah. I think the next person was, this is a username, so let me just...
We've got Outlasted just before him.
Oh, Outlasted, okay. O for Outlasted. Where are the O's? I'm so bad at alphabeting. Oh, there he is. Okay, gotcha. Wait, is he unmuted? Outlasted? He is. He's unmuted.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
Not too bad. So we haven't spoken on here before, right?
Nope.
So were you religious originally? Are you still religious, or?
I I used to be, kind of. I mean, I wanted to be Christian. My family was kind of like, whatever you want to do was fine with us. They didn't really force me into anything, so
Sure.
I guess I'm lucky in that aspect.
That is lucky. What denomination was it?
I think I tried Catholic, and then I asked around for Lutheran, how I'd get involved in that, but in the end I just decided to kind of be my own person without having to I guess
cool.
I decided to not be held down by the confines of religion.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so on the same page with you. It's like people are always telling me, Buddhism is helpful, Buddhism's good, it's a good ideology, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that there's some good things in it, but my issue is the fact that I don't want to subscribe to any ideology like that. I don't want to be bound by rules like that, even if they appear to be useful. I can think of a case in which it could actually work against me to believe these different things,
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm on the
Yeah.
same page when you say you don't want to be bound to like an ideology like that, bound to like a religious framework or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was searching for it, I kind of realized to myself I wasn't really searching for a spiritual guidance. It was more I was afraid of death, and I'm not gonna be like not gonna be like the kind of person who is afraid of that anymore. I mean,
Sure.
and I've told myself that, but I was afraid of what comes after, and I looked for things that could like give me like a sign of, oh, it's not the end. I don't have to be dead.
Sure.
And so like when I guess I kind of like searched in the religious area when I was still afraid. So when I kind of got a sense of my own mortality and realized that like every day is special, that's when I was like, okay, time to get my life in order. And I guess Christianity is something I saw not a part of my life.
Interesting.
That needed
Yeah.
to be. Yeah.
Like I'm on the same page with you with the whole death thing. I would love for some version of Christianity to be true. Certain versions. I would love it if like the Methodist like denomination seems to be fairly liberal and cooled down. Like they're not none that I've met anyways are extremists. So I wouldn't mind it if the Methodist denomination turned out to be true. I would love it if I didn't have to die one day. But I just cannot buy it. Like with anything in me, I just can't accept that it's true,
Yeah. Yeah. It was something I had to discover for myself, I guess. And
Yeah.
at the end, I mean, I did a lot of research on it. Like, I did a lot of my research, and I started watching you like like 2 years ago.
Wow, man,
And-
that's a long time ago.
yeah, like 2 years ago, and like I saw one of your videos, and I started just binging them all, and I agreed with almost not almost everything that you had to say
That's
on
awesome.
like all these like different like cults, and that was when I was like, wait a minute, if religion really does do this to a person, like then what's the point of having like eternal salvation if you're just gonna be a dick in order to get there?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, and like, sorry for swearing.
No, you're good. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the point of like trying to make yourself a better person if to do that you had to shoot down other people?
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah, like the first experience I ever had with that was I went to a gay pride parade, and I saw like all like the God hates gays people protesting it.
Mm-hmm. That's
And-
the Westboro Baptist Church, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I just couldn't believe that a religion like masquerading as a religion of love and like acceptance to like everyone can like say, oh, we're gonna remove those quotes from the Bible saying like love people as your brother or along those lines.
Sure. Yeah, you actually
You
mentioned.
have to-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, before we get too far into it, you mentioned the people who are protesting and things like that. That's called the
Yeah.
Westboro Baptist Church, and their website is godhatesfags.com. Like, how
Oh,
messed up is that? That is
It's really messed-
insane.
Although I must say, if you ever want a good laugh, go into the land over the the Baptist Church, and they have some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. There was like this one thing with like Skittles promotes homosexuality or something like that, and it's
That's
just like this
awesome.
guy rambling on about like the different colors, like purple means sodomy, and like jumping.
Okay.
Like, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like, it's some of the funniest things
They're
I've ever
so
read, just, like,
ridiculous,
how-
man.
Yeah,
Did you hear
it's-
about Tauja? I think Tauja told me about this, but when Fred Phelps, like the founder of that church, died.
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
Well, he died a while back. I think he died in like 2012 or something like that. And there was a Satanist group who did some kind of a ritual over his grave to turn. Or no, maybe it was his mother or something who died, but it was designed to turn her gay, whoever it was, and it was just awesome. 2 gay people kissing over the grave. It was just great. But anyway, that's pretty cool. So what ended up like drawing you originally to my channel? Like, what was it that got you to get into this community?
I think. God, what was it? Oh, know what it was? I had saw on like this app like Pictophile. I don't know if anyone else uses it. It's like a meme app. But like I saw like the Jehovah's Witness video, like the gay marriage one, with like calling like you have to leave baggage behind in order to get.
Yeah, I
like,
remember that one.
That one, yeah. And I looked it up and I was like, what is this from? And then the first video that came up was yours.
Awesome.
And I watched it and I was like, wow. Like, I never knew like this kind of stuff was being put out there.
Yep. That video is actually that one got me not a copyright strike. It was a hate speech strike, basically, community guidelines strike, and it was just deleted from YouTube a while back, and it removed my ability to live stream on my main channel until June 19th. I think on June 19th, in a month, I'm probably going to do a celebratory live stream. But you know what? They were kind of right. I did have hate speech in it a little bit, so I didn't even bother appealing. I just left it. And I re-uploaded it on Facebook. So if anyone wants to see it, they can go to my Facebook and watch it. But
yeah, but after that video, I started watching every one of your videos. And
that's awesome.
And I was like, like I said, if religion really does do this to people, then that's not something I really want to be a part of.
For sure, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that you, kind of found your way to my channel and into the community.
Thank you for having me.
For sure. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing that I got that strike, but that's what happens. Like I said, it was a little bit hate speechy. What I did was I said, oh God, this video is gonna get a strike now for me repeating it. I said, I hope a bunch of butch lesbians beat the fuck out of you. And I guess that was hate speech. I can see their point. That's kind of promoting violence. And of course, I don't promote violence. So I just left it be. I leave it, let it die. It's fine. You can view it on my Facebook. The next person this is a username. Let me find them. T's, MOPQRST. Oh, there he is. This is a username. You there?
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great.
So I haven't had you on here before, have I?
No, I did DM you.
Okay, so what, like, at the very least for the audience, because they haven't heard, but tell me about your story. Like, were you religious originally, or are you still?
When I was like a little kid, I bought into it. I believed it. And then as I got older, I like the last person said, I was kind of scared of death. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna die.
Sure.
And then I got my first laptop, and I got on the internet. I started browsing the internet, and I started learning things at school that really went against it. And I kind of realized that science doesn't really comply very well with religion.
Very interesting. So what denomination was it originally? You remember?
I have no idea. I just remember that a lot of people around me were Christian, and I just believed in God.
Right. Well, I'm glad you found your way out. So how old were you roughly when you got your laptop like that?
It's probably like 8, but I didn't really realize things until I was maybe like 11.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you found your way out. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I am 14.
Oh, it hasn't been a long
experimented
time.
with
Okay.
booze, a little bit. No, it hasn't. I've experimented with Buddhism a little bit.
Okay.
I find some of the values to be helpful,
Sure.
but I'm not really Buddhist.
Sure, I'm on the same page. Yeah, like I said a minute ago, I think a lot of it is helpful, but I don't want to be bound to an ideology like that in general, because I'm sure I can think of some way that it could be harmful. And what's the point? We may as well not be. We don't need to bind ourselves to an ideology like that, you know?
Yeah, I like
So-
things to kind of be proven in science, or at least some sort of theory that seems credible enough before I kind of believe things.
Definitely, yeah. And you're actually like miles ahead of me on this, because I was like, what, 21 or so, 22 maybe, before I started really questioning this. So you got 8 years on me. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I didn't realize how low on time I was, so I'm going to move on to the next person. But I can put you back on the list since you got a little less time than usual if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you again pretty soon then. The next person. Oh, by the way, how many questions do we have right now? Do you know?
2 little ones and a massive one.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'm gonna unmute O'Fire. Just talk to him for a minute or two, and then we'll work through those questions. You there, O'Fire?
Yeah, hi.
How's it going? We haven't talked on here before, have we?
Good, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So you are actually you're a mod now on here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a helper for like a really long time. I appreciate
one of
your
the first
help with
picked,
that.
I think.
Yeah, so that's
All
awesome, man.
besides Porky, etc.
Right. Yeah, you've been here since the beginning almost, haven't you?
Yep.
That's pretty
January.
cool. So, what religion were you originally? You're not religious anymore, right?
No, I'm not. But I don't have much time to talk, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll go over it a little bit. I'd say I kind of went to a undenominational Christian church, but I'd say I was kind of too young to really believe it. So I just came out kind of deist, thinking believing a lot in science. Space is really interesting to me.
Sure. It's interesting to me
So,
too.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of like astronomy, and I really
Right.
like evolution, but I think I like astronomy more.
Yeah, I love astronomy. I actually wanted to be an astronomer for a long time, and I realized it was just mostly math. So,
It is, yeah. It's
Yeah.
so intense.
anyways, I kind of had the belief that God started the Big Bang, stuff
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Common belief,
And
actually.
then, yeah, I started looking on YouTube a few years back actually, and that's when I started to discover like atheist channels and stuff like that. So I started to doubt my beliefs, even though I didn't really have clear formed beliefs in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, so I'd say I've never really been that religious, but
Interesting.
it's been a good experience.
Yeah, so like how long ago roughly do you think you kind of started to turn atheist?
Honestly, not too long ago. I'd say about 3 years ago.
Okay, well that's actually a pretty good long time. There's some people on here that
Yeah.
have been questioning for like a week, so.
That that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Oh, I'm glad you ended up finding your way out. Did your parents kind of like cram it down your throat at all, or?
Not really. My mom didn't have a great experience with religion
Okay.
because of her parents,
Mm.
but
Hear that.
she's never pushed it on me or anything like that. And my dad's not in the picture, so
Well, I'm glad that you didn't have to deal with that too much. That's good, and I appreciate you coming on and talking to me.
thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate coming on here too.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Like I said, my family was pretty, crazy about it. They definitely crammed it down my throat. So I'm on the same page about your mom and all that stuff. But yeah, you got the questions for me?
I do indeed. Would you like the little ones or the big one?
The big one.
Of course. Okay. My best friend is Catholic, and my boyfriend's mother is also Catholic. Or rather, they label themselves as Catholic. They don't pray very often and don't even own a Bible, but they of course believe in God. My best friend doesn't go to church, and my boyfriend, who's an atheist, goes to the church with his mother for the sake of being social, which his mother is fully aware of. My boyfriend says he doesn't consider them as religious since they don't really practice the religion they claim to be a part of. I wanted to know if Telltale thinks the same as my boyfriend, that they're not exactly religious, or if he's got a different view on that.
Okay, so the boyfriend seems to think that the family isn't religious, is that right?
Saying they're not really religious, but they still go to church.
Got
And
you.
they still occasionally pray.
Got you. Usually with things like that, you have to take them at face value. I mean, there are so many questions swirling around the entire situation, but sometimes you just have to take it at face value. If they say they are, then they are. Even if, you know, there are obvious signs that they aren't. If somebody says they've been diagnosed with this thing or that, even if you think they're a hypochondriac, you just have to take them at face value tentatively, you know? So I would say just try to take them at face value generally and go from there.
Okie dokie. Do you think that music was greatly influenced by religion? And if religion goes away, would music get worse?
No, I don't believe so. That's like, okay, so Michelangelo, I believe, was the person who painted the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican. I do not for a second believe that he would have that wouldn't have existed if religion hadn't existed. He would have painted something different. Dude was just an inspiration, an incredible artist. He knew what he was doing, and he was so good at it. Those talents were wasted on religion. In the same vein, I feel like people's musical talents are wasted on religion. Forgive me if you're religious. That's just how I feel. I'm sorry. But I feel like if religion didn't exist, we could have put that energy into something so much more meaningful and productive. So, yeah.
Okay, and the final question is, has your mother ever watched your videos?
Oh no, that's apostate material right there. As far as I know, she has not, and I have put some level of an effort into not. I haven't shoved it in her face. I haven't hidden them from her, but I haven't shoved it in her face. I haven't sent her one of my videos or something. So, if she stumbles across it on her own, fine. Or if some other family member sends it to her, fine. But no, I'm not sending her any. She'll probably die in there, so whatever. But anyway, those are the last of the questions, right?
Yep, that's everything.
Okay, unmutey time. Unmute.
Why do you do
everybody,
this?
because it's fun. Unmute, and I'm making a song out of it. Unmute. Oh, you know what? I wonder if... okay, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.